want to bring in now Shadow Attorney-General Andrew Wallace. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. I spoke with former Prime Minister John Howard a short time ago, and we spoke about the Special Envoy to Combat Anti-Semitism, Gillian Siegel's report. It remains unacted after close to 5 months since it was released. ASIO Director Mike Burgess told Parliament that anti-Semitism was the agency's top priority because of its real and present risk to life. So what can you tell us about that report, and what is your reaction?
Well, Janie, look, our hearts go out to all those that are impacted. It's not just those that are directly impacted. I think 27 million Australians are just in various stages of grief right now. Our hearts go out to them, their families. We pray for them. This is absolutely devastating. But look, Janie, I was very measured in my comments yesterday, but I think today we need to start really effectively turning our attention to the way that the government has managed this. The government has managed anti-Semitism in this country from the 7th of October in an appalling way. The Jewish community in Australia have been telling the government that they have felt unsafe ever since. The coalition has been consistently holding the government to account on this, on their failings, their continued failings. And there are so many failings on the part of the Prime Minister, his ministers, and in fact every Labor member who has effectively turned their gaze from what has been going on in Australia. And the anger that we are now starting to see from the Jewish community is palpable. But it's not just the Jewish community. I'm getting a lot of messages from my constituents who are a long way from Sydney. They are angry that this violence, this wanton violence, has been brought to Australia. They're angry at the way that the government has dealt with it, or should I say, hasn't dealt with it. The report of Gillian Siegel, who I'm meeting with in about an hour's time, her recommendations have largely been left unanswered by this government. We've seen from the 9th of October, just when we saw those images of the chanting of anti-Semitic tropes on the steps of Sydney Opera House, right through over the last 2 and a bit years, the government has failed at every single step to protect Jewish Australians. And their day of reckoning has to come. The Prime Minister's day of reckoning has to come, because whether it's failing to recognise or adopt the recommendations of Gillian Siegel, whether it's failing to act against the blatant anti-Semitic tropes that have been going on, whether it's in fact recognising the state of Palestine, this government has failed at every step, and Australians are now wanting answers from Anthony Albanese.
I wanted to get your reaction as well, Andrew. Caroline Marcus just spoke to the Diaspora Affairs of Israel's minister, and he said that the greatest threat is incitement, radicalisation. It's not really about racism, but he said when it starts with the Jews, it doesn't end with the Jews. What's your reaction on that?
Look, I think he's absolutely right. It doesn't start with the Jews. It starts with the Jews, but it doesn't end with them. Every minority group, Christians, if you think that you'll be left alone, I've got news for you. The reality is that this sort of blatant, wanton violence has to go. It has to be addressed. And I read with great interest this morning. I was the Deputy Chair of the Parliamentary Joint Committee on Intelligence and Security, whose job it was to oversee our intelligence agencies, including the Australian Federal Police. I read a very interesting article in The Australian this morning, where a current serving senior AFP officer has effectively belled the cat by saying that their counter-terrorism units are so underfunded that they can't do their job properly. Well, I can tell you, in all my time on the PJCIS, I have never once, not once, has a senior AFP officer told me that they do not have enough funding. If they thought they didn't have enough funding, then they should be telling the Oversight Committee We've got to get to the bottom. This is not just a question of gun laws. It's a question of anti-Semitism. Gun laws are certainly a part of it, but also funding for our intelligence agencies. If that has been wanting under this government, then it's incumbent upon those senior officers now to come out and tell us.
Andrew Wallace, Shadow Attorney-General, thank you so much for joining us today.
Authorised by Andrew Wallace, LNP, Boccarina, Queensland.